worst thing ever. I do remember it. How could I not remember that?
I was medical gangster,
Turtlenecks. No, no. Turtlenecks are terrible. And just the fact that you're even telling people in public that you wore a turtleneck is sad. You should bury that and never ever let anyone know.
Just a second, honey. What am I currently wearing right now?
Oh God, you have a turtleneck
I have a
on.
turtleneck on.
Those are so terrible.
A black turtleneck. It's a good base for what to wear as an undershirt during the winter months when it's cold. It keeps your neck warm. It keeps everything like tight and then it's not.
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't do any of that. It just looks bad. Wear a long underwear. Go buy black long underwear. Fine. It's the turtleneck portion that is just goofy.
Yeah, well, I'm working on it. I'm going to be expanding my wardrobe very shortly. You know, one of the things that at least people are not going to discriminate against a guy wearing a black turtleneck, but what they are discriminating against are people wearing the white and the black, which are the officials. And they're saying that officials all over the place this year have been absolutely, utterly terrible at just not even knowing all these obscure rules that are going along all over the place in the NFL. So the NFL today has announced an adjustment to playoff officiating procedures. Can you believe this? Now they're
Finally.
actually going to be able to talk back and forth to New York, and they're at the New York headquarters, and they're going to say, hey, I don't know exactly how many yards this penalty should be. Can you tell me? And they'll be able to tell them. Or, was that a penalty or not a penalty? I cannot recall, like swatting the ball out of the back of an end zone. Now they're going to have Vice President of Officiating,
Finally.
Dean Blandino, right in their ears.
How did it take this long to get this happening? It's 2015. They can see every play from every angle. Why did it take this long to get a radio communication link with New York where they're watching the plays? This is mind-boggling that A, this is news, and B, this is finally not, like, why hasn't this happened sooner? We've talked about this multiple times, and this year they came out, oh, we're going to have someone reviewing it, yada, and then we still have a bunch of botched plays. It's like, get them on the phone with a bunch of officials that know what they're talking about and can see the play from every angle. It will make the game quicker. It will make the plays correct, finally.
Well, the thing is that typically the people on the field should know what the heck is going on. However, in a playoff scenario, there's only one game playing at any given time. They don't have a series of multitudes of plays. So they could put a strong, knows every freaking rule type of person like Dean Blandino watching the games live from New York and being able to communicate back and forth with the league officials when there's only one game being played. You just don't have that luxury when you're in Octobox Red Zone and you're watching 8 games at a time. It just doesn't have that ability. So this here's a quote from the competition committee chairman Rich McKay. The committee feels strongly that giving the referee and dean the ability to consult with each other in certain situations beyond instant replay will further support officiating in the playoffs. The officials do a very difficult job exceedingly well, and we think this adjustment in the playoff will make them even better. Now, I concur. I mean, you watch those plays go so freaking fast. It's amazing that they get half those things right, because most of them look like a coin toss at the speed in which they're doing it. I can't imagine having have to make a decision on what happened when it happens literally in less than a tenth of a second most of the time. So they're doing a good job on that aspect. However, all those weird, crazy, obscure rules are starting to affect the gameplay. And because these crazy, weird, utterly obscure rules are affecting gameplay, at least they have this available for the most important games, such as the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it's about time this happened.
You're right. It should have, but I could see how logistically it'd be a nightmare to do that for every game during the regular season.
No, I don't think that would logistically be hard at all. There already have people watching the game. Everyone, 30 million people are watching football every Sunday and every single move that happens. Why can't you get how many games are there each week? And you can get 15 different rooms with a set of monitors and TVs. They already have this set up. It's not hard. They have the means. This is $1 billion sport. You don't think they can set up 15 rooms with monitors and professionals in there looking at every play? Of course they can, easily.
Yeah. And here's the question. Is that, as a logistical setup, is fine. But how do you get that many people who know the rules that specifically well? You already have 6 people on the field who should know the rules that specifically well, but
Chain
you
of
don't.
command. They have one person over them you get 15 qualified people who man each room and are the people that are the rule person in each room, and then they all report to someone higher than them until you get to, 1 or 2 people who have set the rules or been long-term, officiating crew or long-term referees in the NFL. That's easy. We already have them on Fox. Look, if Fox Sports and CBS and ESPN can have a specialist on the phone all the time for all these different games, why the hell can't that guy be doing the same thing? If they could do it, why can't the NFL?
Okay, and I get that concept, but now there becomes a great deal of extra overhead, as well as just finding the people that know the rules that deep and specifically. Like you said, if you have somebody inside that room and they're going through the chain of command and they're like, look, this is kind of a funky play here, you now have to stop the game for a brief second, get the guy who does know that rule to come into that particular room or in that control room and say, well, yeah, let's watch this again. And it slows down the entire process. Whereas if he's just one guy watching one game, making these officiating decisions and talking back and forth without all the in-betweens and all the other things, you have a real live situation that occurs in real time with just one person who's like the head brain. And I love that. I love that we can do that. But then all of a sudden, if you try to do that for every game during the NFL, during all, however many games there are, 300 and some odd games, then you get one person who's not as specified or capable or competent as the next person, and if they miss the rule, then the whole system's broken because because it didn't achieve what it was supposed to achieve in that particular concept.
Look, it's never going to be perfect, but it will definitely be better. That's all you can hope for.
You'd think so. I'd hope for a lot because officiating has had a lot of funky calls this year that's really caused a lot of problems.
Definitely has. But let me ask you, speaking of being better, did you see what Mike Pettin said about Russell Wilson?
No. What are you talking about?
I can't believe you didn't hear this. So when talking to reporters prior today, actually, before the game that's coming up this weekend, Pettin really kind of, they were asking him about Russell Wilson, and he said, would you put him there with the guys that can transcend their supporting cast? The Tom Brady's, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Roethlisberger, the ones you would consider the 2, 3, 4, or 5 elite guys in the NFL or quarterbacks? No, definitely not. But he certainly played himself into the next tier from where he's at. Whoa. So he's coming out. He said, hey, this guy's good. Is he better than, an average quarterback? Yes. Is he an elite quarterback who can put a team on his back, who would transcend the supporting cast that's around them? Definitely not.
Okay. So is he saying that he's played himself into that level? Or...
No, he's saying he hasn't. That he is not the kind of quarterback that transcends his supporting cast, meaning he's dependent fully on the people that are around him. He's not a guy that can put a team on his back, and you would not consider him the 2, 3, or 4 elite quarterbacks in the NFL. That he's not an elite quarterback is what he's saying.
Okay. Doesn't, at this point, for his team to feel like they even have a chance in a game like this, don't they have to have the confidence to say, look, Russell Wilson is the guy, the only guy on that offense who could make it go right now with Marshawn Lynch, Thomas Rawls, and everybody else gone. They're going to rely solely on the pass attack. Isn't this essentially nothing more than just coach speak for a way to say, hey, ain't that rough, guys, go get him. Because that's what it sounds like to me. He probably has nothing but full level of respect for him because Russell Wilson is everything that he wants Johnny Manziel to be on and off the field.
Yeah, okay. But you think he's just firing his team up?
I do. I mean, we see this a lot.
But do you think Wilson's an elite quarterback?
I believe that Wilson, define elite, is that top 5?
Yeah. Do you think Russell Wilson can put a team on his back and win? Okay, here's a better way to put it. If they didn't have the defense that they have, do you think they would be winning with him?
I don't think any top-tier quarterback, minus the above-average or good defense, is a top-tier quarterback. We've seen top-tier quarterbacks.
Drew Brees has had a terrible defense for a while, and he still wins.
And look at what... No, he hasn't
this
won.
year, prior years, he's won.
No, even last year he hasn't won. He hasn't won in 3 years. It's since Rob Ryan was there. You think that's a coincidence to that?
You're going to tell me the Patriots have an amazing defense?
They had an amazing defense last year, and their defense this year is not too much horribly downgraded. With even the loss of Browner and Darrelle Revis, it's still playing at a pretty high caliber. What level? I mean, and then take a look at it.
But you're not answering the question. Does Russell Wilson put this team on his back and win without the defense that you guys have?
I believe that if Russell Wilson was involved into an NFL-level shootout, that in some cases he would be able to put his team on his back to win some games in some cases. However, he is not the legend that is, say, Brett Favre or Joe Montana or, even a Tom Brady at this point. He is not that yet. However, give him some time. He's only in his 4th year. I will be the first person to throw Russell Wilson under a freaking bus. You know that. I do not like him as a human being. I don't think that as a human being he's worth much of the DNA that he's been given. However, at the same time, I do believe that Russell Wilson as a quarterback is a very capable, very smart, very efficient quarterback who plays inside the limitations that God has given him at 5'11", and with a tremendous arm has been able to outproduce what anybody thought he would be as a quarterback in the NFL at this point. So
I agree. And I appreciate you being honest. I agree. Not elite quarterback. Good call.
He's not a legendary quarterback, but at this point, he is a top 5 NFL quarterback.
What are you talking about? No. Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger.
Drew Brees is no longer an elite.
Aaron Rodgers, Palmer.
Tom Brady. No, Carson Palmer is not even in that list.
What are you talking about? Carson Palmer is leaps and bounds better than Russell Wilson.
Oh, you're just, I know what you're doing. You're just trying to get me off track and get me to talk about this whole nonsense about Russell Wilson. And the fact is that it's working. I'll go ahead and talk Russell Wilson all day, but for now, we have to go ahead and pay the bills. We want your calls at 405 562-5463. We'll go ahead and talk a little Russell Wilson. We'll go ahead and talk about if he's elite. And then after that, we'll talk some fantasy football. And then we'll talk the Thursday night football preview. And we'll go through this whole thing. But we do have to pay the bills.
Finally, can we take a moment and stop listening to these idiots long enough to get the Cars for Kids jungle stuck in my head?
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS, Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Also on the web at carsforkids.com. That's Cars with a K. We're a recognized 501c3 charity organization, so you'll receive a maximum tax deduction. What's more, you'll receive a free vacation voucher of 3 days and 2 nights.
1-877 Cars for Kids.